me. So I actually did some recording earlier for my other LP, so my voice is a little bit worn out from that, but it's been a couple hours, so I'm hoping it'll be okay. It's the same day, 10:44 a.m., in the Old Bailey's defendant lobby. Mr. Naruhodō, what was all about that about earlier? No, what I really want to know is, what in blue blazes was that all about? You made my theory sound like some kind of flawed riddled trickery. I'm really sorry. Also, the door slid open. God. Ducks! Also, is it just me or does this thing look visually off to you? Maybe it's just me. I don't know. The screen seems a little brighter on the computer. You promised, didn't you? That you proved that that unfortunate explosion was an accident and not a murder. And that you protect my precious device in the process. And yet, what you've actually done is... let me see. I did mess around with something earlier today. Okay, that seemed to... That seemed to fix it. Hey, look, it fixed it. Okay. I think I turned off power save mode, and, yeah. You're right. I did make you a promise. A promise to believe in you and fight for you until the bitter end. But I believe I also warned you that I don't know the first things about science or theories. Besides, the contradiction in your theory is real. But that's only because, you know, I'm still in the middle of my research. But Mr. Kingsley died as a result, right? Benjamin, please. All this track again. Yes, you're right. He did. It's all my fault. What's the point in me trying to deny that to you? Clearly that's not right. Not only as a scientist, but as a living being. Alright, you might be going a bit far there. But while we're on the topic of things that are clearly not right, I can't believe Baroque is treating me like this. Yeah, you two are old friends, and he's treating you like a murderer. Clearly that's not right. Not only as a prosecutor, but as a living being. Oh wait, I guess Grim Reapers can't really be considered living beings, so maybe he's in the clear. Came to terms with it in a really weird way. Please, allow me to confirm just one thing with you. What might that be? The only thing contained in that device are your theories. And no illusionary gimmicks, right? I drew the blueprints for the device myself. I put my heart and soul into every line, and my faith in nothing less than the future of scientific technology. My theory may still be incomplete, but please believe in me, Mr. Naruhodō. Alright then, Dr. Dirtpour. You guys! Defend it! Hey, Meowsy, you've been, like, watching me so often and yet you never followed me? How dare you? The preparations for the next witnesses are finished. It's time for court to reconvene. Head to the courtroom at once. Dr. Dirtpour's device. It's the real deal, like he's theorized. They're right. It's impossible for anyone but the doctor himself to be the murderer. But, on the other hand, there's what Home-san told me. Realizing the little doctor's theory would be completely impossible. Just, what on earth am I supposed to be proving here? I don't know either, man. The highlight of tonight, Linkin Park in the chat. Jesus Christ. It's the same day, 11 o'clock in the morning, Old Bailey Supreme Court. I still feel for Naruhodō, he's all by himself!
Now then, in the name of the Queen, court is hereby reconvened. Have the prosecution and defense prepared their cases?
The prosecution is ready. The defense is also ready.
Lord Van Zieks, you identified the next witnesses as eyewitnesses.
That's correct. Fortunately, this group of eyewitnesses includes a Scotland Yard detective. Therefore, I can say with certainty that this testimony is trustworthy. So one of the eyewitnesses was a detective. In any case, the prosecution's position has not wavered in the slightest. The public experiment was performed successfully and came to a tragic conclusion. And, under those circumstances, the only one who could have murdered the victim was it Evanescence? I keep mixing those two up. The man who was up on the stage with him. None other than the defendant.
The court understands the prosecution's claims. Now then, Lord Van Zieks, please have the witnesses escorted to the courtroom. Into the courtroom.
Witnesses, take the stand. You who view the moment that the incident occurred from closer than anyone else. You mean Mr. Gyakuten? Cause he's coming up right the frick now. No! No! I do not want to read that name. Now then, witnesses. Your names and occupations.
I'm Loompa Marmatch. I manage all the hot air balloons floating around the experiment exhibition area.
Doc!
I'm Wilhelm Gottschalk Sixmann von Orstein. I came shamelessly all the way from Bohemia to see the London World's Fair. I have a fair bit of money.
I hate this! I hate this!
Inspector Gina Lestrade, a famous detective acknowledged by Holmes.
Oh, really?
I was part of security at the fair, so they let me ride in one of the balloons. I had a time and a half.
Come to think of it, I think I remember Gina-san mentioning that she'd been looking down on the accident from one of the hot air balloons. Considering what she saw, she sure looks bright and cheerful. At the time of the incident, there were 3 hot air balloons in the air above the experiment exhibition stage. They were in those balloons and viewed the incident from the air. Inga! Even though we were technically in the air, we were still at a very low altitude of merely 60 feet.
Well, I mean, if you get too high up, you wouldn't actually be able to see much.
60 feet. That's about 18 meters above the ground.
Now then, the court will hear your testimony. Tell us what you witnessed on the experiment exhibition stage from 60 feet in the air.
The view from 60 feet up. Ooh, what a terrible accident. I am so glad that all my balloons made it out safely. The stage suddenly exploded, and not seconds later, the air near us exploded too.
From out of the smoke of the explosion, that cage shamelessly appeared.
Hi, Risa! Oh, is it morning over there? Ohayou gozaimasu! I hope I got that right. Where did I go? Okay, from out of the smoke of the... Wait, no. The cage then plummeted towards the ground and crashed into the crystal tower. I couldn't see the inside of the cage, but no one went near the crystal tower.
It sounds as though it was a terrifying sight.
May I ask something? This is my first time hearing this testimony. But it sounded as though you just said there were 2 explosions. It would be more accurate to say that the explosions occurred in 2 places. When the experiment was conducted, their hot air balloon was hovering over here. There were other balloons hovering nearby, though. So, the first explosion occurred when the device was activated. Then, immediately after the cage, with the victim inside, vanished from the stage, a second explosion occurred right next to the balloon they were riding in. The cage that appeared in that space then fell into the crystal tower.
That scared me. A cage with a person inside just appeared in front of my eyes with a pop. My mask got burned in the blast, but I kept watching without even blinking. And I still got plenty of money.
What is this child?
May I ask, who is this mysterious little boy?
I hear he's a rather high-class boy, descended from Bohemian royalty. Apparently he concealed his identity and snuck off to see the London World's Fair.
Yes, I came to London on a sightseeing trip with the boarding house at my preparatory school.
I'm having a hard time getting a voice for this kid. I believe we can have high hopes for his testimony, with its childish viewpoint. Is his childish viewpoint really gonna be that useful?
By the way, this is what I look like without my mask.
Whoa! I'm so glad you can watch too, Risa! He's really pretty under that mask!
Well now, aren't you the cute little fellow?
I hear that a lot. Whatever happened to you being undercover? In any case, the testimony we've just heard makes it very clear that although the device exploded, the teleportation did indeed occur. And so long as no one approached the Crystal Tower until the police arrived, the only one who could possibly have killed the victim was the one on stage with him, the defendant.
The court understands the prosecution's positions very well. Now then, defense, your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, what are we looking at here? Why am I gonna pronounce this guy's name? Wilhelm whatever. God. Idiom. Skip. The stage suddenly exploded, and then there was another explosion in the air. So you saw that terrifying scene from a hot air balloon. Yeah, pretty amazing, huh? We police detectives can do anything. You ought to quit being a defense attorney and come fly around in the air with me. Bad idea. I can't help feeling like her motives are all messed up here. Gatsukun? Gatsukun. Okay. Anyway, could you tell us in more detail about what happened?
Well, we were up in the air, so we saw the whole thing. That dodgy-looking old bloke was in the cage, and that dodgy-looking doctor started messing around with the levers. And then, suddenly, there was a huge kaboom, and that cage disappeared without a trace. That must have been when the victim's body was broken down into particles by the electricity. And then, as we watched in shock, there was another big boom right in our ears. When we turned to look, the air around of us, the air right in front of us, which was supposed to be empty, was wrapped in flames.
Gyakuten, is everything alright? Oh, well, the script actually also puts Gyakuten, so that works too.
My teacher at my prep school said that when you say the name of someone you've just met, you must call them by their full name.
Sorry, what was your name again? Duck me!
Wilhelm Gottschrick Sixmund von Orstein.
Guess my assignment for tonight is to memorize it. Anyway, was there something just now that bothered you? About Detective Gina Lestrade's testimony.
I expect you to refer to me as Inspector Lestrade, Naruhodō.
Can't you all just give it a rest with these orders?
It's different from what I saw.
Huh?
She's right about the part where the second explosion happened right in front of us. But at the time... That's right, that the empty air suddenly burst into flames. The teacher at my prep school said that when someone is talking, people who won't keep their trap shut will never find happiness as long as they live.
Bohemia's education system sounds pretty intense. How many balloons are you gonna buy, child?
Just before that explosion happened, I clearly saw a green hot air balloon floating right next to ours.
A green balloon?
Huh? No, there wasn't. I would have seen it. I swear to on my life, I'll use my government ties to fight you on it.
What?
I swear on the pride of Bohemia that my testimony is right.
What a little brat, trotting out his royal influence like that. You're one to talk, abusing your power of the state as a detective like you were.
In any case, please add that statement to your testimony. For the sake of the alliance between the Great British Empire and Bohemia. It wasn't the air that exploded, it was a green hot air balloon.
This child. Oh, what a terrible accident. He's glad that all of his balloons made it out safely. Is that true? Is that true? No? I'm being told to present something. Marmatch-san, you just testified the following. That when the incident occurred, all 3 of your balloons made it out safely. That's right. It had been terrible if any of them got dragged into the explosion. By the way, would you happen to know what this is? That's, this is just a guess, but looks like part of a balloon. It's likely the remains of some burnt balloon fabric. Balloon fabric. The big round pot that gets filled with gas, the pot people know as the balloon. It's made of thick canvas and coated with rubber on the inside. It'd be terrible if it burst while it's in the air. Sounds like my hunch was right. This was found lying on the ground at the crime scene. In other words, just as Gyakuten said, a green hot air balloon exploded that day. Oh? If all the hot air balloons flying near the experiment exhibition area were yours, then it contradicts the part of the testimony where you said they all made it out safely. Bye, balloons! If a hot air balloon really did explode that day, then why did the balloon manage to say so? What if that means all the customers riding it plunged to their deaths? How terrible! Paying 10 mounts just to fall to their death with a cruel twist of fate. This is going too fast! This is going too fast! Here, you know what? Too fast, too fast. I missed the line because it went too fast. I can't do anything about that, but this was the line I missed if you wanted that one too. It's true that the teleportation was a success, however, due to the explosion, the destination was thrown off, and just happened to be where the hot air balloon already was.
So that's why the balloon exploded. That certainly does make sense.
I suppose it could be considered an unfortunate sort of traffic accident, but it doesn't change what happened. Hold it! Hold on! Don't think I let that explanation fly! Marmatch-san. The way this conversation is headed, it sounds like I lied. Not only that, but that would mean that several people were killed by the falling hot air balloon. Calm yourself. The only person who died that day was the victim. Either way, I want to make this very clear. I didn't tell any lies. There's no way that balloon could have been there. No way it could have been there? The Supreme Court is no place to quibble over the number of your balloons. But the fact that no one knew about it until now is the problem. Your Honor, the defense would like to request further testimony from Marmatch-san.
Very well. I'm also very curious. Now then, let us clear up the matter of this phantom hot air balloon. Witness, kindly continue your testimony about your hot air balloons.
Well, thank you very much, Your Honor. Phantom hot air balloon. Mr. Marmatch's hot air balloons. I'm not a liar. I really did manage to recover all my hot air balloons. All 3 of my balloons had customers riding in them. I'd be in big trouble if any of them exploded and fell out of the sky.
But actually, there were signs that something had crashed and burned on the ground at the crime scene. It was a pretty big explosion, so we concluded that bits of the stage must have burned and fallen off.
Obviously, that little runt doesn't know what he saw. All my balloons are red and blue with stripes.
So then the hot air balloon the boy saw didn't belong to you?
Yeah, that's right. That's if the runt really saw anything in the first place. A balloon explosion would be seriously bad for business. Why, I've got half a mind to sue Bohemia.
Bring it on! In that case, this is all-out war!
What? Nani? What are those two even doing? As far as I can tell, Marmatch-san doesn't seem to be lying. There's no okay, hold on a second. Is this still Naruhodō's dialogue, or is this not Naruhodō's dialogue? I have a thing that says Baroque on here, and I'm like, what? The dialogue is, if there's no problem with this testimony, then it would mean that the eyewitnesses said what the eyewitness said is true. Nope, this is definitely Baroque, so I think I'm missing something here. Hold on. I'm gonna put a note there. 1 second. Why is it doing that? Okay. I just wanted to open a notepad and this is what it gives me. Something here. Bohemian Wars! Page 135. Okay, put that there for now. Okay, if there's no problem with this testimony, then that would mean the witnesses said is true. Think long and hard on what that means. Obviously, this changes things. I'll dig up the truth no matter what I have to do.
Now then, defense, please commence with your cross-examination. there were signs that something had crashed and burned on the ground at the crime scene. We noticed those signs too when we investigated the crime scene. Did the police not examine the ground at the crime scene carefully? I mean, personally, my philosophy is that it's better to nick people's wallets than go around looking for money that was dropped, see?
What are you trying to say?
Well, the boss got down on all fours and was checking everything out on the ground. After all, that cage was skewered on the Crystal Tower at the time. Apparently, that was all anyone else cared about.
But I'm not sure how to feel about you guys overlooking this piece of balloon fabric.
Huh. Don't think you're better than us just because you happen to stumble on it.
Huh?
Don't forget, I've got the right to arrest you whenever I want.
Gina, no. Gina. She's the most dangerous sort of person to give that sort of power to.
But I feel like maybe the burned wreckage did come up in the investigation briefing.
This runt doesn't know what he saw. All my balloons are red, blue with stripes. You mean the colors of the balloons? That's right. I don't have any green balloons in my storage shed.
But the fact remains that a piece of green balloon fabric was lying on the ground at the crime scene.
That may be, but for the sake of argument, let's suppose that the green balloon really did explode in the air. However, you can't say with certainty that it occurred on the day of the incident.
What do you mean?
Even before the World's Fair began, there have been hot air balloons flying around in Hyde Park. We assume that an unfortunate accident occurred then there's no issue.
So, you're saying that Okay, you're saying that it was a balloon from before the World's Fair?
That's right! Just like the good prosecutor said, it's not one of my balloons. Obviously, the little bohemian boy mistook what he saw. This child! Child! You okay, Guts?
It's Wilhelm Gostrich 6-Month von Ornstein!
It looks like there's something you really want to say.
But I know what I saw! There was a green balloon there that day. I staked the pride of my country, Bohemia, on it.
You can't talk about the pride of your homeland. You can talk about the pride of your homeland all you want, but... Now look here, boy. If you don't have any proof, then I'm afraid Uncle Marmatch will have to sue you, okay? What is with these two? Don't you think you're being a little harsh? He's only a kid, Marmatch-san.
Proof. What's that? Let's see. For example, a picture showing the green balloon or... Oh, why didn't you say so sooner? I got one of those.
Oh my god, this child.
What? Well, everything looks so fresh and new from up in that balloon. So I took a whole bunch of pictures from up in the sky. Of the Crystal Tower, the Bohemian Exhibition Hall, the streets of London, the donut stand, and the balloon next to us.
What about the experimental stage during the teleportation?
I took one of that too.
You did?
I just wanted to ride in the balloon. I didn't care about the experiment.
Either way, please, show us the photo.
Of course! Once you see it, you should be able to tell. This is the green hot air balloon that I saw.
It's empty?
What do you think? So amazing that you don't know what to say? Indeed, I really do have no idea what to say. Well, I guess it's true that you can't tell from this that it's green. But... that's not my fault! Complain to the person who made the photo machine!
Crying in Bohemian!
Sounds like he started crying in Bohemian.
Yes, in Bohemian. What in the world?
Alright then, we'll accept this vital piece of evidence.
Balloon photo. An aerial photo taken by Gyakuten. The balloon it shows is green, and Gyakuten claims it exploded right after he took the picture. Please cry for me.
Not my fault. Complain to the person who made the photo machine.
Well, aside from the colors, I think it's a great photo. Full of dreams. What? By the way, when did you take this? This dialogue is so good!
It was on the day of the explosion.
Please no bees! Yeah, I figured that.
The second the shutter closed, there was a tremendous noise. My face started burning from the hot wind.
Then that means that this photo was taken immediately preceding the explosion. Well, if I say a monochrome photo, if I may say, a monochrome photo like that doesn't concern me at all. Yare yare. I'm really curious about Marmat-san's testimony. Got-san says he saw a fourth balloon that day. And you guys! I can't! Look at the chat! And Marmat-san is insisting that there's no such balloon. But I can't imagine Marmat-san, the vendor, not knowing how many balloons he has. There must be some reason for this contradiction. Is that a balloon photo? Present the balloon photo. Unfortunately, we're not able to determine the colors of the balloons in the photo that Gyakuten took. However, one thing is clear. These are very bad jokes. What might that be? This balloon here doesn't have anyone riding in it.
You're right. However, weren't there supposed to be customers in all the balloons?
There were! That's the point of them, after all. In other words, when the accident occurred, there was in fact a fourth balloon hovering over the crime scene. Naturally, that balloon was green. But I don't know anything about it. I can say this, though. If there weren't any customers riding in it, then that balloon wasn't one of mine. This hot air balloon hat is ridiculous. There are illegal business proprietors to be found anywhere. In fact, there are known to be some who have set up shop at the World's Fair without going through the proper application process. That balloon must have been operated by someone else behind the witness's back. That's true. I was keeping an eye on my competitors, but apparently I overlooked someone while I was distracted by the experiment. Not only that, but that balloon exploded during the very moment the teleportation was occurring. So then, I guess the burnt remains we found on the ground at the crime scene didn't fall from the stage, but were actually bits of the balloon, right? No one was riding in it, so it was no big deal. These Bay jokes. Oh my god, I can't. I'm trying to read! An unmanned, mysterious fourth hot air balloon that drifted sneakily over the crime scene. But then that's the only fact we can discern for certain from that photo. Some random unmanned hot air balloon that just happened to make its way over to the crime scene. Clearly has nothing to do with this case. Please, not her from case 4.
It seems to have no further significance than that.
Enough investigation has been done into all the existing testimony and evidence. Therefore, the prosecution would like to request a verdict be handed down. Are you reading a newspaper? What? Why are there so many children in this thing? I wonder about that. Is what he just said true? If I let this slip away from me, the jurors will make up their minds. There are really no other clues hiding in this photo. There is another clue? There aren't any other clues. There is another clue. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please hold your votes. There could be one more thing in this photo that Gyakuten presented. One more important clue, lying unnoticed so far. What? An important clue? Why does he look like Waluigi? It's too late in the game to trifle with mere possibilities. If you have an answer, point it out clearly. What do you claim that this photo proves? The owner of the balloon, the color of the balloon, the cause of the explosion. We can safely assume that the balloon in this photo ended up being burned up due to the explosion.
That's right, I knew it! It wasn't my imagination.
Well, naturally. That was because the cage ended up being teleported into the air the moment that balloon happened to drift through that space. It scattered sparks when it teleported, and those must have ended up igniting the gas in the balloon. That's not what happened. What?
It appears that there's one last detail about this photo that we need to investigate. Defense, please point out the clue you just mentioned.
Yes, Your Honor. If you look closely at this photo, you can clearly see it. And if you think about it in conjunction with a certain piece of evidence, then we can arrive at an insane conclusion that completely overturns everything we've established in this trial so far. The clue that most likely indicates the cause of the balloon's big explosion is this weird line? The timing with which this photo was taken was truly nothing short of miraculous. Here, you can see something like a white line heading for the balloon. That is likely just some reflected light that showed up in the photo.
I can't tell anything from this either.
If you have a closer look with a magnifying glass, you can make out what it really is. Nork meow zeeks! It's... Yes, there's clearly something shining white there. Could it perhaps be a bolt of lightning? But the sky was clear to the point of being unpleasant at the time. Could it be fire of some sort? A bolt of fire, like an arrow, heading straight for the hot air balloon.
Indeed. Even to my age eye, it appears to be fire. Wait, did this fire ignite the gas in the balloon?
Ridiculous. The balloon was 60 feet off the ground at the time. There's no way flames would come shooting up to a place like that. Incidentally, a certain piece of evidence found at the crime scene explains how such a thing could have happened. What?
In that case, present it to the court. What evidence indicates what that line of fire hurling toward the balloon really is?
The crossbow. This had been hidden in the shadow of a tree near the crime scene.
Is that a crossbow?
The head of the arrow was soaked in lantern oil and lit on fire. If you loaded an arrow like that into this crossbow and shot it, that fiery arrow would pierce through the gas-filled balloon. Okay, but Naruhodō is a mouse, so he'd be actually like Ryūnosuke. I know his last name is Ryūnosuke. I don't know what his first name would be though. Impossible! Someone shot the balloon with that crossbow.
You're right. If you look carefully at this photo, it's a fiery arrow.
Sodi, you can't mean that the reason the hot air balloon exploded was...
It's possible that it's because the fiery arrow shot from this crossbow ignited the gas.
What?
Ryūnosuke!
That's such a cute name.
Order! Order! Dear God Almighty!
If the culprit's only goal was to cause the balloon to explode, then shooting it with a gun was also a choice. But there's no way. They could have fired a gun at the time. Because it would have made a gunshot. Right! If they use a weapon like a crossbow, which doesn't use gunpowder, then they could shoot the balloon silently.
True. If there had been a gunshot in a place like that, everyone would panic.
Usano is adorable! Although in the end, the big explosion ended up causing an even bigger panic. What's with this weird feeling I'm getting? I found the new possibility I was hoping for, and yet I've got a bad feeling about where this is headed. Do you understand what you've just said? If one were to shoot a flaming arrow into a balloon full of gas fumes, naturally it's going to explode. And then, if we assume that the cage appeared from out of the smoke from the explosion...
Huh? Wait a minute. Isn't there something kind of odd about that? I don't know anything about this sort of thing, but did that cage really teleport? Eh? What do you mean?
I see. This is why I was feeling so uneasy. Oh! Maybe that cage was hidden inside that balloon from the very beginning.
What? What did you just say?
It's no good. I can't cut off this line of reasoning now that it's already in motion. Let's suppose that the cage was hidden inside the balloon to begin with. Then the experiment began. The cage on the stage vanished in the smoke. That's when the fiery arrow was fired from the ground. When the balloon exploded in the air, the audience's attention was drawn to that spot. And from within the smoke, the hidden cage appeared and plunged downwards. That's right. In other words, this was what was going on behind the scenes of the experiment that was conducted on stage that day.
What? But that... What?
What indeed? Ridiculous. That's no scientific experiment. It's just a trick. Just some foolish stage magic. Home-san and Irish-chan both said that making that theory a reality would be impossible. This is the only way it could have possibly worked. Besides, it's a fact that the victim's body was in the cage at the Crystal Tower. If it didn't get there via teleportation, then how do you explain that? Well... One second, I need a drink.
If I may say something as a professional magician, a trifling detail like that could likely have been handled with an illusion.
Juror 3.
All they would have needed to do was to find someone who closely resembles the victim, Mr. Kingsley.
Kind of like you?
Then they would have had him stand on stage as a body double.
I see. So then Kingsley-san might have already been hidden in the balloon in the cage to begin with. That balloon was full of gas. When it exploded, Whatever was hidden inside the balloon would have been blown to bits. Would have been too dangerous to put a human inside. No, the strength of the explosion would depend on the composition of the gas. Sure, 4. The gas used in hot air balloons is composed mostly of hydrogen and helium, mixed with other substances. Science! Helium by itself doesn't explode, but if you mix it with hydrogen, its destructive power changes. Its composition, you say? Naturally, it would have caused some damage to the victim's remains, but it's at least a possible starting point for some worthless illusion. Everything that occurred at that time can be explained without relying on science. The exploding of the device was never an accident to begin with. It's possible that that explosion was also set off purposely for the sake of this major illusion. Good lord. And if that's the real story behind this accident, then it would mean that Kingsley Slan was never on the stage to begin with. In other words, it would have been impossible for the defendant who was on the stage to have killed him. Oh! Oh, my badge. Even Prosecutor Van Zeek should have trouble coming up with a rebuttal for this right away. Now that they won't be able to come up to a conclusion here and now on Dr. Dirtpour's murder charges. Hold it! Benjamin, no! Mr. Naruhodō, thank you for your hard work. Dr. Dirtpour. That's enough now. Please, just shut your mouth. Huh? What are you doing on the stand, defendant? Benjamin. Benjamin Dirtpour, have something to confess. The one who stabbed Conrad Kingsley was, me? That's right, with a swift jab from my brave wingman, Andrew! You've gotta be kidding me! Except all it said was, yeah. I'll take you gotta be kidding me, though. Order! Defendant, what was the meaning of your outburst just now? Dr. Dirtpour, what are you doing? Like I said, I want to protect my theory and my device. Not like this, though! And you started spouting about how it was fraud and a childish trick with no proof. If my device gets inspected, then it's all over for me. And the secret behind my theory, that'll be toast as well. You may have drawn up the blueprints, but the one who actually made it was someone else. It's entirely possible that you yourself were Baroque! Yes? I'll cooperate with you. I promise to confess to whatever you want. So please, see that my device remains protected under the special provision for the protection of science and technology. I'm begging you. Benjamin, no! Why? Forgive me for the impropriety of partaking of the Lord's chalice at a time like this. Japanese boy. Hyunjin. Yes? You need to make your position clear now as a defense. Do you intend to claim that that experiment was nothing more than an illusion? If that is the case, then naturally, the device will, as of that moment, cease to be protected under the special provision for the protection of science and technology law. Oops, I went over too fast. I feel like I'm doing case 3 from the first game all over again. However, if you claim that the experiment was a genuine success and accept the murder charges, then the defendant's theory will be protected. Has someone been keeping a counter of how many times Baroque has broken a chalice or thrown the wine bottle?
Now then, the defense will make its statement.
I need water. The job that Dr. Dirtpour entrusted to me was to prove that what happened during the experiment exhibition was an accident, and to protect the secret behind his device. But I can't accept charges for a crime he didn't commit just for that. Do I do as I was hired to and protect his device? Or do I go against what I was hired to do and protect the doctor? No matter which position I take, I'll have to betray my client. Why have you gone so quiet? Is it not your job to speak? Or perhaps your grasp on the English language has deserted you, Nihonjin. Oh no!
Mr. Naruhodō.
Look, I'm a defense attorney. Let me do my job. There's nowhere for me to run. I have to choose an answer. Which one am I supposed to say? Which one am I supposed to betray? Excuse me. Here is the defense's statement. The defendant's device is true, genuine science, nothing more than an illusion. It's no good. I can't say it. I can't make such a treacherous statement.
The choice before you is not what shall I betray. I believe the more important question is what you should protect. It's been a long time, Naruhodō-sama.
Susato-san! What are you? Ah! Oh, he just got thrown. Thrown in court! Oh my god, her ejection theme is playing too! What is this? My first Susato tossed in 6 months.
We can chat later. For now, we need to face forward.
What I should be asking myself right now is what I'll protect. Dr. Dirtpour! Yes! You told me yesterday that science is about pursuing the truth. It's the same for lawyering.
Attorney Naruhodō.
I believe in you. I believe that you didn't stab him. And I wonder if you haven't actually figured it out too. That there are things about the experiment and the device that you should be questioning. We have to pursue the truth. I'm so happy that her ejection theme is playing! And then he... Baroque, how... What? You're awake at last, I see, defense attorney. Eh? And... how about you, Benjamin? After hearing what your attorney has said, is there anything you'd like to say as well?
Baroque?
Prosecutor Van Zeeks.
That's the first time I've ever heard that man say anything like that.
Actually, there is one thing that comes to mind. Huh? I saw something that day, right before the experiment was performed, right near the exhibition grounds. It was a man, carrying a crossbow.
What?
Dr. Dirtpour, the person you saw, did he have any distinguishing features? He was even taller and skinnier than me, with better posture and long white hair. Long white hair? He had fewer lenses than me too. He wore a posh black monocle. But forget his distinguishing features, I actually know him very well. That man was none other than the mechanical engineer who built my device for me. Oh! What? Excuse me. He built your device? Oh, here he comes. Yes, Mr. Kingsley introduced him to me a year ago. His name was, as I recall, Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber. What's this? Some of you jurors certainly became excited all of a sudden. That ominous name. As a scientist, I wish I had never heard it. Even as a magician, he's someone I'd rather not get involved with. Just who on earth is he? I've heard whispers, rumors, not unlike this one, repeated about him in science. Oh, wow, what is this sentence? Hold on. I've heard whispered rumors, not unlike this one, repeatedly about him in science. Yeah. This is sure as a sentence. That sure is a sentence. Oh, did it not go through? God damn it. That sure is a sentence. Hold on, I need to fix this. I've heard whispered rumors, not unlike this one, repeated about him in science. About him. In science circles. No, scientific circles? Scientific circles. Scientific. Scientific circles. Rumors of how science experiments he's been involved with have been carried out on large stages, and how they ended up being magic tricks. Naturally, the others involved were unsavory characters trying to secure research aid from the government. Occasionally, magicians who find themselves in a tight spot financially will attempt such measures. I've heard Enoch Drebber's name from some of my fellow magicians who fall into that category. You know what I find amazing so far? We haven't had a final appeal, a closing argument with these jurors. These jurors have actually been really involved with us right now. He's a widely successful swindler with a reputation as both a scientist and a magician. That's who Enoch Drebber is. Oh man, poor Benjamin. Oh, this track again! Every time I hear it, it just feels even sadder. So, then it's true. My device was just a big magic prop. Considering Mr. Enoch Drebber's true identity, I think we can safely assume that the possibility is, unfortunately, very high. Even if no one else believed, I at least wanted to. I wanted to believe that that device had worked the way I theorized. And that's why you were so afraid of your device being investigated. If the device had been investigated, my theory would have been dissected based on its composition. I really did think it was real, but at the same time, if after being investigated, it was proven that the device was nothing more than a magic show prop, then everything I have, my dreams, my research, my whole life would be over. I was so terrified of that possibility. So then, you honestly didn't know, correct? You You didn't know what the device really was, or what kind of man Enoch Drebber really was. I never suspected, nor did I try to find out. It's likely that Mr. Kingsley and Enoch Drebber had joined forces on this. They were using you to cheat the government out of the research assistance funds. Oh no. That day was the brightest, most exciting day of my life. I operated the machine the way Drebber had instructed me to. Suddenly the machine began to pour smoke. I didn't know what was happening. I don't know what the trick was behind that machine. I don't know anything anymore. In that case, defendant, allow me to confirm one last thing. Regarding the special provision for the protection of science and technology law that had been protecting your device. The process of lifting that protection will now begin. You're okay with this, yes? Yes, go ahead. I'm so sorry about all of this. Give this man a hug! He just wanted to do science!
It appears that there's no choice but to suspend the court proceedings for today. Lord Van Zeeks.
Your Honor.
In the process of today's trial, the name of the new relevant individual came to light.
Enoch Drebber.
In order to gather further information from him, the court would like him taken into custody.
As you wish.
Additionally, defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
There is just one thing the court expects from you in the continuation of this trial. To produce evidence that will prove the defendant's innocence beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Understood.
In that case, court is adjourned for today.
Is this to be continue or can we, no? Yes, no? What is it? Okay. Finish the lobby and then I'm taking a break and then I'll continue into the investigation and I'm kind of wary about right now. It's the same day, 1:36 in the afternoon, Old Bailey's defendant's lobby. Benjamin! Mr. Naruhodō. Yes? I'm so incredibly sorry. I tricked you. I got you involved in this crazy trial as a result. Why did it have to turn out like this? I'm so incredibly sorry. You didn't know though, right, Dr. Dirtpour? You didn't know that the device that man Enoch Drebber had made really was. Of course not. That device was stuffed full of my dreams and theories. I truly believe that. In that case, there's nothing else to be said, Dr. Dirtpour. The suspicion of murder that you're under still hasn't been lifted yet. I'm going to do another investigation before tomorrow's trial.
I'm counting on you then.
Susanoo! I could hug you right now! Naruhodō-sama, I apologize for my late arrival today. Late? Oh, I thought I mentioned that I'd be coming today in the postcard I sent you. Postcard?
I kept it a secret from him. I thought it'd be a fun surprise. So, were you surprised?
Iris! I'll say I was. I mean, did you see the way she suddenly sent me flying?
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I was so happy to see you again that I tossed you before I even realized what I was doing.
Is this how you say hi to him now? That's something you can do without meaning to?
Susato-chan's train to London Station arrived late today. So we hopped in a carriage and came flying over to the courthouse, praying we make it before the trial ended. I was supporting you from the gallery, but I just couldn't bring myself to stay out of it.
Thank you so much, Susato-san.
Eh?
I'm much more confident with you beside me. I'm really glad you came back to London.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I look forward to working with you again.
What made you come back anyway? What did your father have to say about all this?
Alright, let's save that talk for after we return to Baker Street. I prepared a special herb tea blend for today.
Oh my, I can't wait to taste it. And so, Susato-san returned to London once more. I'm so glad! At the time, all I could think about was how glad I was for that. But little did I know that the story was about to spring into motion once more. 2 investigation. Day 2 investigation. Can I get to that one part? That's the question. To be continued.